Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Holistic Hoedown. I'm Megan Bauer, and as always, joins me the amazing Reba Svetkov.
Ooh, that
Reba,
was really good.
thank
Spicy
you.
too.
Thank you. I've been working on it. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy. How are you?
I'm really happy because today is our Thanksgiving Hoedown. It's our
Yeah.
Thanksgiving Hoedown. And Thanksgiving to me is like my Super Bowl. I don't know why. I think it's because it's a whole holiday based around one meal, and that's like my jam. So,
Man, I need a Thanksgiving with you. I'm like with someone who loves to cook that much. I'm like, I need meals with you.
I have a schedule. I have, like, my days planned out from starting, like, the Monday before, where I'll do, like, a little bit every day.
Oh my God.
So, yeah,
You're
it's
my you're my w- you're like my dream cook helper. Or you know what I'm saying? Like you need to I need the schedule for myself because I'll be like, I'll have the highest hopes of making that kind of schedule. I'll be like, I'll wing it sort of.
Mhm.
I feel like you need to offer that to the world.
Maybe I will. Maybe I'll offer that to our listeners. I'm gonna write that down. That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
write that
I'll
shit down
offer
right now.
that to you guys in the episode notes. 'Cause, there's things like when you're making a allergy-friendly big meal like that, there's just certain things that you can't buy in
Mm.
the store, like pie crusts. I've tried it, they're all awful. You have to
Well,
make your
they're
own.
decent-ish.
Mm,
I mean,
mm,
enough.
mm.
Well, if you're lazy like me, they're decent enough.
Well, they're not g I mean, not the gluten-free vegan ones, and I only
That's
do
what
the
I have to
vegan.
have.
Is that what you have to have too?
Yeah.
They're awful. What ones do you get that they're good? Oh,
Okay, we're gonna
I
actually we
threw
should
out
do
a
a
whole
roundup.
pie because it was that bad.
Okay, do you know what kind of brand yours was?
No, it was years ago. I haven't bought a pie crust since. I was so pissed off because it was like, of course, an $8 pie crust or
Yeah,
something ridiculous like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And like everybody took one bite and they're like, "The filling's good." I was like, "Man, fuck this." Threw the whole thing in the trash.
But I do think, okay, clean eating slash allergy slash any other kind of like substitution eating does require a little bit more planning. Like you are an experimenter. Like that's probably why this is your Super Bowl is because you get to experiment and be in the kitchen and be this like chemist and trying all these things. And like that's probably so exciting for you. And then you're like, my Super Bowl is like, everybody try all this wonderfulness I made. And, like, that is such a I think that's what's so great about food, and, I mean, that goes back to, like, why it's sort of hard with the allergies and that f the feeling and there's something definitely special about Thanksgiving and the food and the rituals and the traditions,
Mhm.
and so, like, you making it streamlined a little easier with organization would be amazing.
I mean, it'd be so easy because I have like Word documents.
Oh my god, yes.
I have like a Word document schedule for each day, and I have like I change the grocery list every year, but I make a grocery list. Man, I could do all this for you guys for
I
free.
mean,
I do the grocery list, I do the meal plan, and then I have like an oven schedule because if you only have one oven,
oh man, it's difficult.
it's prime real estate on Thanksgiving. So as much as you can do the days before to get that oven, or if you can make mashed potatoes in your instant pot, if you have an instant pot,
Mhm.
instead of on the stove, or if just stuff like that. If you can make a pie the day before because it's better cold, then do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that takes a lot of forethought, and that's why one of my things that I've been trying to not use, like, to waste food,
I just
and I've had it's like it's really hard for me not to wing my life. Like, I love just being, like, spur of the moment, and I'm trying to be deliberate. So, you would help me and probably a lot of other listeners be a lot more deliberate about their Thanksgiving meals. So, we may need to air this sooner than we think we do, just to
Yeah,
put that out there.
yeah, maybe, and you might be right. You might be right. Because I
But
mean,
we're
it
gonna
takes. I mean, mine's already done because I do it. I keep the same thing from every year. So I would just go in and change it a little bit depending on how, because there's a few recipes that I don't change because
right.
they're
They're
so good.
tradition. They're
Yeah,
like,
and
"This is
or
what
they're
we
like
do."
cranberries, they're naturally gluten and dairy free, right?
Mhm.
And that's something that I'll always have on the menu. But like this year, I'm doing a different stuffing because I've been on the hunt for. My mom always made cornbread stuffing,
Mm.
and oh man, it's amazing, but it's not good for you.
Do you eat corn? I don't remember.
um, I try not to,
Mm.
but I do allow myself to every once in a while because corn chips and salsa down here are like
Mm,
a
mhm.
staple.
Yes.
But
Here
cornbread
too,
cornbread
nearly.
stuffing also has white bread in it and a bunch of other shit. I don't know. I have to call mom, but
Mhm.
I've tried to make stuffing for years that's been gluten and dairy free, and they've all sucked. But I made one this year that was I made it and I
Uh.
was like, "Damn, Megan, that was really good."
Okay, I'm so excited because you're gonna give us, like, all the recipes, tips, and stuff like that with this podcast,
Yes.
which is super exciting, but I wanna, like, know, okay, so you created this meal, you do all this, but have you done this forever? Did your mom do this? Is this something that, I mean, you're just naturally inclined. I think you really love cooking. Um,
Mhm.
but like, what are some of your traditions? What are some of the foods that you do eat? What are you most excited to eat? We had talked about both of our husbands. Um, well, no, your husband was born here though, but
No,
his
he was born
parents
in
were from
Spain.
Spain.
No, he was
Oh, he
born in
was born in
Spain.
Spain. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yes. And
So
my
he was
husband's
born in
from
Spain, my
Australia.
mother-in-law is Spanish. My sister-in-law, my husband's sister, was born in Germany, but my father-in-law, I mean, they're all American, right? Because they were in the military, and so they were in military bases, so they're all American. Um, but my father-in-law of my in-laws is the only one from the United States, like,
Mm,
from the United States. So, when they met me, our first Thanksgiving together, they were, like, gonna do canned cranberries and boxed Stouffer stuffing, and I was like politely I didn't say this, but politely, I was like, "Get that shit out of here.
you're like, "I am gonna cook this."
We are not
Okay, but I'm not gonna
not on
lie, I
my
really
fucking
like
watch.
Stouffer's
No
I like
way."
Stouffer stuffing. I cannot have it any longer, but I would just be like, "Ooh, this is the first stuffing I'll actually like." This is when I was, like, 12.
Nice. So, growing up, my mom always did the cooking, and she would put the turkey in the oven overnight, like, before we went to bed, and at about
Mm,
3 or 4 in the morning, you'd start smelling it, and it would wake you up. And your stomach would start growling because the whole house smelled like roasted turkey, and it's like my favorite memory of childhood. We don't do it that way. Alex likes his every year we experiment a different way. We deep
mhm.
fry it or we Alex has a fancy smoker that he likes to tinker with, so sometimes we do it that way. So I haven't done that tech, and plus it does dry out the turkey a bit.
Uh,
It dries out the white meat of the turkey,
how
which
lo
is
do
already
you
hard enough to keep
moist, yeah.
moist anyway. So, but that memory, that smell and that memory, that's my favorite part about my favorite memory of Thanksgiving. Like I would love to do it now, but there's just too many better as somebody that loves food so much, there's just so many better ways to treat a turkey than to
The
roast
overnight.
low and slow all night. So,
Yeah. Maybe you could, like, just, diffuse turkey smell. I don't
simmer
know.
some turkey gravy all night or something. Put it
Like,
in this.
put some, like, turkey fat in your diffuser, see what happens. I don't know. Super
Love it.
weird, but
Let's do
maybe it's
it.
a thing. Um, but that sounds so, like, it's like almost Christmas morning, like, you had an experience of that on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and to me, like, I love Christmas, especially now that I have kids, I love Christmas. But Thanksgiving for me, for my whole life, I mean, as long as I can remember, has always been more important to me than Christmas. I've always enjoyed it more.
Interesting. Well, I do feel like there's, like, a connection of food. Well, I mean, you eat on Christmas, like, you eat good food usually,
Mhm.
but there's a connection with food and giving thanks, but I guess go more into that because I'm trying to, like, think why Is it about the food? Is it about the community? Is it
I think for me, it's about the community. I think for me, it was about being in the kitchen with my mom and my sisters
Mm,
and the excitement and the Macy's Day Parade on TV. And my mom had cinnamon rolls. And I mean, there was just a whole lot of nothing going on, but the day
mhm.
was still exciting. There's football games on. And even as a kid, I just couldn't care less. But there was a whole lot of nothing going on, but there was still excitement, and you still got dressed up to go really
Mm.
walk 20 feet and sit down at your table and eat, and I don't know, there's just I getting dressed up to sit down in your own house and eat, I'm here for that. I'm here for that every time,
Yeah.
and we never even did Black Friday, there was never
Mm.
I think it was just time to spend with family, dedicated to, putting a good meal on the table that everybody can gather around. I think that's really what it is for me, the gathering.
I love that because you bring that to the forefront of like, why do I like Thanksgiving and how much we don't do that in our day to day.
Yeah. I mean, what else are you going to do that day?
Yeah, nothing. You're
No,
literally nothing's really available. Like,
right. The only thing there is to do is to watch a couple football games. I think there's maybe basketball on. I don't know.
we don't know. We don't really want to.
I don't know.
No.
But
But there's always the buzz of that in the background, usually, like some kind of football, or I would, I like to play music a lot. Like, I love
Mhm.
music while I'm cooking and having the girls cook with me. And my husband, of course, my husband cooks with me too. Um, but there is something about the community feel of this is our intention and we're here. And um, I want you to tell your story and then I'll tell a little bit about what it was like for me. But keep going about your husband. Okay, so you went with like your childhood. You're like, this the most amazing gathering. We cook this good food.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wake up smelling this, and then you transition to you get married, and then you have in-laws
It
and
was a
a whole nother
slow
family.
gradual it was a gradual takeover. It was a gradual takeover of Thanksgiving,
Okay.
and where at first I was like, "Oh, we can split the dishes," to now it's like, "I got this, don't worry."
Oh, you're the maestro, or like you're
Yeah,
like
I am.
the
I'm the one that always every year they're like, "Okay, what do you want us to bring?"
oh.
And so I'm the coordinator, I cook the majority. I don't cook the turkey, Alex and his dad do that, but I do, and to me, turkey's all about the side dishes.
Yeah.
I mean, I could really give or take on the turkey, but
Well, yeah, gravy for me is like where it's at. I if I can just
ooh,
douse
girl, I got a
everything in
gravy for
gravy.
you.
Oh,
Oh, and
yay.
it's nut free too, and
Oh,
it's really, really good.
okay, I'm very excited.
But to me, it's all about the well, we'll get into the recipes. I don't want to spoil it, but
Yeah, don't spoil
yeah.
it, please.
So once I got married, I was like, okay, this is it. I'm taking over. It's mine. You can have Christmas. I'm doing because sometimes, most of the time on Christmas, my mother-in-law makes a beautiful paella, and I'm like,
Oh,
yes, please keep doing that. But I'm gonna do Thanksgiving.
mhm.
This is tradition, and my mother-in-law's like, I don't get it.
Mm,
And I don't
mhm.
expect her to get it. She's from Spain. But, it wasn't really a big deal when they were growing up because they grew up overseas. And yeah, I'm sure they did things on base and stuff, but a lot of the times they didn't live on base. So they'd have to drive on base on Thanksgiving to celebrate. And so, I mean, it just wasn't as big of a thing
Right.
for them as it feels like it was for my family. Maybe I made it a bigger deal in my head, but I always felt like Thanksgiving was my shit. So,
Well, there's probably, like, some connection to love and community, and maybe your love language or something is food. No, I'm just
it's
kidding.
obviously food.
So there was probably magic in that, I would think. Um, so you gradually took that over, and now do you have your kids help with the meals, or are you, like, backup babies? Like
I'm more of like, "Yeah, what are you doing in my kitchen? Get out of here." But this year, I mean, they're 6 and 4. So they're finally starting to get to an age where they can truly help me in the
Mhm.
kitchen. Um, so that's gonna be a little bit more fun this year, I think, than years in the past.
Yeah, when you're like, "I gotta get this stuff done," and you guys are just like I mean,
I'm still very, like, focused and I'm very much like, "All right, if you're not gonna listen, get out of my kitchen."
right, like, "I got stuff to do. We're
I've
gonna
got, like
make this really special one day." But
right. Right, and then, like, I saw this meme years ago, and every time it comes the week of Thanksgiving comes around, and I think of it every time, but it's, like, something to the effect of, "I hate how my kids expect to eat the week of Thanksgiving." Like, "Wha no, you can wait until Thursday
to eat.
to eat."
The fridge is full and none of it you can have.
Yes, the fridge is full, don't touch any of it. You can have frozen waffles.
Right.
That's what yogurt, you can have yogurt and frozen waffles.
That's very true.
I
I mean
think something else for Thanksgiving that's magical that I just thought of is that for a lot of people, it kicks off Christmas. A lot of people spend Black
mhm,
Friday decorating their house for Christmas, and I like to listen to Christmas music while I make
mm.
Thanksgiving meal. I know my mother would just clutch her pearls and gasp when I said that, but I really do. I love the Thanksgiving Christmas. I'm fine that it's all one thing. Like I can celebrate both things at once. I'm very talented like that.
Well, they're moving way it's like getting to we're celebrating Halloween with Christmas also, like, at this point. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
if the stores are full of Christmas stuff for you, but everywhere I've gone, there's Christmas stuff. I actually am guilty. I bought some Christmas stuff
Well, you gotta
already.
get it now because it's cheaper now.
Yeah. Or well, I'm like, or it's gonna be gone. Like all the
Yeah.
things that I don't go shopping enough to be like there all the time. Like I'll be like there the week before Christmas, like, oh, I need some stuff.
Well, and I think with all the delays in
Hmm.
shipping of goods overseas, I think a lot of people are trying to buy a little earlier this year. So you're not like, "Oh, hey, I buy you a Christmas gift, but it's not gonna be here till February."
Yeah. Oh, good point. That's why we need to do a green Christmas. We need to
Yes.
regift.
Yes. I
Make
could
something,
definitely I could definitely
regift a few
regift
things.
some things in here. Not you though, not you.
Set the expectation of regifting.
Right?
um okay, so
Tell me
yeah.
about your Thanksgiving, because you also married somebody who is not native to the United States. So I wanna hear about your Thanksgiving pre-Val and then post-Val.
Pre-val, post-val. Well, it's not too much different, actually. But whenever growing up, my dad had, well, does have 9 sisters. So yeah,
What?
yeah. Have I not told you that? Yeah, I
Had
got a lot of
babies?
aunts on that side. What?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my god.
big family, and not all of them lived in Denver. But I think like 5 of his sisters live in Denver. And so Thanksgivings we would get together with them, and it'd be at one person's house. Somebody would cook the turkey and we'd all bring a side dish, right? And I think I loved the buzz of everyone. I loved family get-togethers with my dad's side of the family. And because I had cousins my age, we always got to do something. We just ate whatever everyone brought. And we didn't really cook a lot at our house individually because we go to my dad's and then we go to my mom's side. And my mom's side was more like sit down. It wasn't as big of a family. So, like, at my dad's, it was just like go through the buffet line.
It'd have to be.
Yeah. And you go eat wherever you're going to eat. We're not all going to some of you are eating outside, some of you are eating by the
So
TV.
standing by the counter.
Yeah, literally.
Yes.
And so that was always fun. Lots of like cheesy, marshmallowy that kind of, like,
Oh, yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Lots of, canned food. I've heard that word before.
Oh, I don't know.
Think about all, like, your fried foods,
Mm,
your cheesy foods,
mhm,
they're all
yes.
canned foods.
Yes, I think the green bean casserole was maybe
You
the
know,
most
I never
Hello.
grew up eating green bean casserole.
What?
My mom never made it. We just never made it.
What? Okay, I have a recipe that's actually I've, like, redone since I can't have, like, cream,
Yeah.
and it's actually really good, and, like, you fry the onions, oh,
Oh,
delicious.
yum.
But
There
you
was a
well,
recipe I made in my adult life from it was a 5-ingredient green bean casserole, but it used fresh green beans, and you made your own
mhm,
cream of mushroom with
yes.
butter and sour cream and sautéed mushrooms and mozzarella cheese
I
and
put some
crushed up corn
mushrooms in
chips.
there
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
bacon and coconut
Ooh.
cream and,
Ooh.
like, put the onions I think I've used tapioca starch, but then you can also just, like, use a Bob's Red Mill, and I just kinda, like, s f fry them on the skillet a little bit.
Mhm.
My family likes it who is not allergy friendly, so it's passed the test.
That's so true.
Yeah,
So true.
it passed the test. But then I'd go to my mom's house and, so my grandma is of Latina descent, like, she's my second grandma. So
Mhm.
we would, you know, I feel like there would be no, actually there wasn't a lot. Actually, we I always remember having sopapillas,
Mhm.
which were delicious. I don't know if it was every Thanksgiving though. I'm, like, trying to think, was that at Thanksgiving?
It could have been at Christmas. We do a lot. I know down here we do a lot of Mexican food on Christmas, like tamales and
Mhm. I wish I could have those. I can't have corn anymore. But,
I shouldn't, but God, they're so good.
so good. I
I
know,
can't
how can
not.
you not? If you're not gonna die when you eat them, you
Yes.
should eat them.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. It's not gonna kill me
Yeah.
yet, so I'm gonna eat it.
But my grandma on my mom's side is great cook. Her gravy, delish. I think that's where my gravy, like
Did she do a giblet gravy? How did she do it?
girl, I don't know.
Shit.
I should
Grandma.
probably well, my mom, I think, cooks it sort of like hers. So, yes, she does is it giblets? Like, she
It's
uses
all
the
it's all
neck
the
and
shit
the
that's stuffed
yes,
inside the bag
yes.
inside the turkey.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure she does, and she would always have really good rolls and, like, we did sit more there was, like, a kids' table and it was a little more formal,
Mhm.
um, but
What time do you guys usually eat? Is this a lunch thing? Is this a dinner thing?
I feel like they did try and, like that's one thing that happens now in my family, like, we gosh, I feel like it was mostly in the afternoon. Maybe my mom's side was more at dinner time, I cannot remember, but I think lunch was more so my dad's side. And
Okay.
then, we might go to 2 Thanksgivings, which can be really hard
Ooh.
on a day.
Ooh.
Like, so hard. So, actually, that's what I sort of wanted to like, now my mom, once all of us got married, she was just like, "Okay, this is getting too hard to, like, plan who's gonna be here and, like, all these times." So, she's like, "I'm just gonna have mine on Friday." So, we have Thanksgiving in 2 days, 2 days in a row. So, we go to Val's mom's. Yeah. And so my husband, I feel like, and my mother-in-law, his parents are divorced right now. So we really just go to my mother-in-law's house to
Mhm.
have and she remarried an American. So
Okay.
um they're all
I was
about
gonna say, what do Russian Americans eat for Thanksgiving?
they
Borscht?
eat a lot basically it's so much food and it's definitely like every Russian salad, which I love. It's like beets and
Russians
cabbage
have
and
so many
oh
salads.
my god,
So
so
many
many.
salads.
But it's the basics, like, these are the ones that, like, you're gonna go and these are, like everyone knows what these salads
They're at
are.
every wedding, they're at every funeral,
Yes.
they're at every
Yes.
event, church
Yeah.
event, yeah.
Yes. One of them's called which I can never say it right, it's like Olivier or something like that, which is a potato salad, with
Mm,
pickles and mayo and, like, a ham, um,
nice.
delicious, like, anytime you can eat that at any time. But then you also are having mashed potatoes, so it's like double potatoes, but
Fuck,
but
I
then
love Russia.
I mean, I really do love Russian food, but we do a lot of, like, beets and cabbage, salads. She so then and then also her husband is actually Hispanic, so he makes, like, salsas. So
Yes.
it is a, like,
I love that. You've got
elaborate.
this Russian, Mexican,
Yes,
American.
yes.
That's I think that's another reason why I love Thanksgiving so much is because as Americans, we're all so different. So
Yeah.
as an American holiday, we all have different ways that we celebrate it.
Yeah, we
And, you know,
start with
some
chips and salsa.
fuck
There's
yeah.
always chips and salsa there, which I love chips and salsa, like, anytime,
That's my
anywhere.
favorite thing ever.
Yeah, and then, it's like there's turkey, and I'll bring green bean casserole, and then, we're drinking whatever, my mother-in-law loves wine, but I think one of our biggest traditions in my mom, I feel like we started this with just my mom whenever we have Thanksgivings now at her house, and it's like we go around and everyone says what they're thankful for,
Yeah, we do that too.
and we never really did that whenever I was younger because we were at all these other people's houses, but I love doing that, because I don't think most of the time they're very generic. I think sometimes they're really from people's hearts, and I really love hearing that, and like, I think that's a special thing.
Mhm.
And my mother-in-law also does that, and I do think that she really enjoys Thanksgiving, I do think, and she's always so thankful for America. Like, she's so thankful that she got to move here,
Yeah.
and she loves Estonia, like, or, um, but she's really thankful for the opportunities and things like that that she got when she moved here. And I think it's during that time, I don't know how to explain. I think that I've never really thought about this, but I feel like she really likes Thanksgiving because
You know,
I have not been able to take over Thanksgiving yet from either of my mothers, my mother-in-law or my mother. One day, but
I that's a really interesting perspective because, you know, I'm a native I'm not gonna say
I
Native
was like, "You're
I
not native."
I am an American, right? My family's been here since the 1700s. So I don't have that perspective. I mean, obviously I love where I live and I have an intense gratitude for it, but to come from a like a war-torn country or a poverty-stricken country and to be able to make it here and make a life here where you can celebrate something like Thanksgiving just puts that gratitude on another level. You know, it makes me I think even more grateful.
Yeah. Well, to see it through her, I mean, like, I think she always says in her thanks, like, something about, we've been here for however many years, 20 plus years at least now. And it is a different perspective for
Yeah.
sure. But I do love just a reminder of being thankful. And, I know Thanksgiving's roots came a little bit differently than we would have
Yeah.
liked, but I do hope that this can be, well, it can be a reminder of shitty things happening and remembering because history is important and knowing real history, I do think is important. But I think it's really nice to celebrate gratitude.
Yeah. I think I'm hoping culturally that we've turned, what was an atrocity against an entire nation of people into something that was a celebration of gratitude. Something as beautiful as a celebration of I think that's like the least we could do.
I mean, probably.
The very
Probably.
least.
Yeah. Um,
So
yeah.
what do you and Val do now? You have your own family, you have your own kids. What is this still a Russian American borscht with green bean casserole type Thanksgiving? What is this? What kind of a Thanksgiving do
Well,
you have now?
Well, because we still go to my mother's and my mother-in-law's. There have been a few years, like, I think during COVID, we did our own, and I loved it, having that with just my family. I I love going to my other families, but having the girls and just us, and us, like you were talking about, like, we all participated in the meal. The girls set the table, and they enjoy
Mm.
that so much to just make the table pretty, and it's not elaborate, but it's like,
You get
it's
to use the fine china,
I
you
mean, I don't
know.
really have fine china, but they made it pretty, like, they rolled the napkins and they,
Oh, so
like, do all
cute.
that stuff. So, um, it is hard with allergy stuff because, my mom has tried to do a lot of allergy friendly meals, and my brothers kind of needed it too, so it was kind of a easier shift. But for someone who doesn't have allergies, it's sometimes hard to be like, how can I cook for this person? So I was cooking my whole Thanksgiving meal basically, and then taking it to my mother-in-law's, and that was really hard. That was really hard. And so it was sort of like, okay, we got to figure something out. And things have been figured out. And now we can go over there and I can just bring like one dish, or I'll be like, I'll just bring something and we'll eat at my mom's, or we'll cook something here. So we've been very flexible, but it's been a lot of creativity and work and communication. And
Yeah,
I think that a lot of people probably experience this whenever they have allergies or they're trying to eat differently. Um, it can be hard to go to these kinds of events
it
and be
can.
like, and to ask honestly, hey, can you, like, I don't know that I can come and enjoy because I can't bring my whole meal. Like,
Right,
I'm literally cooking Thanksgiving and then I'm driving, and like that just doesn't make any sense. Like,
right.
I'll just have it at my house then.
Mhm.
Um, but thankfully, like, my mother-in-law was totally willing to listen and be like, I will adjust and I can do this. And like, I think that that meant a lot to me. And if
Yeah,
you're out there and you know someone who has allergies, or like, it's hard also to ask for the world to revolve around you a little bit. Like, that feels
mhm.
very, like, I'm sorry,
Uncomfortable?
uncomfortable. Like, I don't want to be like, look, I can't eat, so it's just not as enjoyable. But my mother-in-law was really loving about it, and it was hard to say it at first, to be like, look, we're going to stay at home because I can't cook all the things and then drive over there and do, you
Mhm.
know. So anyways, what I'm saying is, even just a little bit of one dish or two dishes for that person who can't necessarily eat is a big deal. And also, just if you are in that situation, try and just talk it out, ask, tell them how you're feeling. I guess that's what I want to say. I don't know how many of our listeners have those issues, but
And to be honest, I think me taking over I think me taking over Thanksgiving coincided with when I took over my health.
mm,
Because if I took over Thanksgiving, it meant I had supreme say in what was being
yes,
served and eaten, right?
yes.
And I know that I can, a lot of the things, yeah, I'll eat a dessert that maybe doesn't have all the ingredients in it for me. But for the most part, I'd like to have the whole meal, align with the way that I eat. And I want it to taste good so other people, kind of like what Ashley talked about in our sustainability podcast, where, using the opportunity to teach people and to use the opportunity to educate and open people's eyes to new tastes and new experiences.
Hmm.
And that's what I kind of love about it too, is I can control that. And then my father-in-law is always like, "All right, what's in this?"
You're like, no,
And
you
I'm
can't
like,
know.
"Aha, cashews."
Yes.
So, it's and so I like using, I think Thanksgiving is it's a way for me to test new recipes. It's an opportunity for me to teach people that plant-based food can be delicious
Mhm.
without cheese, without dairy. Thanksgivings can still be amazing
Yeah.
without the marshmallows on the sweet potato casserole. You know, you can make it you can make it amazing without feeling like shit afterwards.
Yeah. I've definitely integrated a lot more, like, we'll do Brussels sprouts or we'll experiment more, like, with the
Love
cabbage and
Brussels
the beets, and
sprouts.
I feel like there's a lot more vegetables in my Thanksgiving now, um, but it is an opportunity for that, and I had asked, like, "Hey, we'll just have it at we can have it," because I offered, I was like, "We can have it at Thanksgiving at our house, like, you guys can all come over here. I'm happy to cook here, but cooking and then driving for an hour and then like that is just it's not what I want for my Thanksgiving." And my mother-in-law was like not ready to, she wanted to still do her Thanksgiving, and I think that that's great. And she was willing to do that, and so I thank her if she listens. Like, I'm so thankful that she like loved me enough and heard me and valued what I needed, and she was willing to work with me. So she'll text me, "Can you have this bread? Can the ingredients?" And I'm like, "Yes." So this is like going on, before Thanksgiving, and um it's taken years. So yeah, it's all a part of the learning and the journey, and we are still trying to figure out how to have Thanksgiving in this way, right?
Right.
So and then we add in another sister-in-law because Val's brother got married. So it's like, now what is she bringing and how is she,
Yeah, like, what's
So
her dish? What's her signature dish?
exactly, exactly. So one day, yes, it will, I'll probably cook my own and then I'll get to start my own traditions, but that may not be for a while. I feel like I don't know when that will happen and how that transition will happen. I
That's
don't know. And
exciting stuff.
yeah, I think so too. Because I am getting to the point where I'm like, I really want my own Thanksgiving and my own Christmas, and I'm like, how old do you have to be to do that?
Right. I'm a grown up. When do I get to be
I'm a
like
grown
a grown up, grown up?
Oh, man. But I also wanted to touch on, I think there are a lot of people who, I don't know how many, but there are a lot of people who go rogue and do not do turkey. They do like, I think one of my friends was telling me they're doing like crab legs and
Ooh,
they
I love
do
that.
like all sorts of stuff that's not
Because
turkey or
turkey,
ham or
you really gotta do it right, and if
yeah.
you don't, it sucks so bad.
Yeah.
And, that's what we do. So, when I was growing up, we did turkey for Christmas and for Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
Sometimes we would have a ham for Christmas if, like, my dad got it from his company. But as an adult, every year we do something different. Every year it's like, "What do we wanna do for Christmas this year? Do we wanna do sushi
Mm.
and we'll make our own sushi rolls, or
Ooh,
do
yes.
we wanna do duck? Do we wanna do crab legs?" Or whatever
Right.
that looks like. So, as an adult, we do a lot of experimenting, but this is like, "Alright, you're gonna drop some money on this meal." It's like a fancy, fancy meal, but you're gonna make it real good. And so I think that's fun too, because you get to experiment with with ingredients that you wouldn't make any other time of year, right?
Yes. Yes. There is one thing I feel like my parents have done 1 or 2 times, I feel like, and they will have, Thanksgiving in, like, July. So they'll, like, cook all of the which I feel like maybe that's what I have to do if I wanted to start cooking Thanksgiving. So it would be like I'm
Maybe
like, "Man, this is
yes.
great."
That's exactly what you knew. You're like, "Look, if you're not gonna give it to me, that's fine, but I'm gonna make my own."
Right.
July
In July.
15th, be there.
Yeah. Yes, and I was like, I don't remember why, I think they just had, like, a turkey in the freezer that they had to use.
That's awesome.
Oh gosh,
That's
so,
awesome.
anyways, let's move on to your recipes. Like, what do you got
Yes.
going on? What's on the menu?
So I have a pretty much I have my day planned out for you, and you can take it or leave it. You can use the recipes. Some of them are mine, some of them are from my favorite websites. This is very similar to our summer dinner party episode.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm going to give you, recipes that I've found, recipes that I use every year that I love, recipes of my own. And then, just tips and tricks. Like I think we touched on a little earlier how my Thanksgiving process starts on
I'm so
my
excited.
meal prep starts on Monday. You're thinking, oh my God, that's commitment. But, I spend 30 minutes on Monday doing a couple things. And then I spend 30 minutes on Tuesday doing a couple more things. So by the time Thursday rolls around, I'm like enjoying myself and not stressed. And, I'm leisurely like sitting down and having a glass of wine. And then, oh, I've got to get up and do this. And so instead of just being in my kitchen from, 7 a.m. until
Like, go, go, go.
right, right.
See, but that I think is what I'm looking for. So those 30 minutes, those days, I think are worth it because otherwise, because I have had to cook meals and then go somewhere,
Mhm.
um, it's like you want to enjoy and sit down and chat and get back up and just be with the flow of the day. So I think it's perfect.
Yeah, yeah, it really is, and, it was born out of a necessity because I like to entertain, but I also like to be a part of it too, I wanna
Mhm.
be mingling with my family and watching that whatever on the TV that day, and
That's actually one thing I have never done is watch the Macy Day like, the parade.
my in-laws hadn't either. They thought I was so like, as an adult, they're like, "It's a little weird how much you like this parade," and I'm like, "Okay, honestly, I get that." That's fair, that's fair. But they'd never watched it either. Like, I went over there, I'm like, "Oh, turn the Macy's Day Parade on," because now I just like to have it
In the
on in the
background.
background. Like, I'm not even because now I think it's like a bunch of just Broadway shows
Oh,
dancing, which is not what it was actually a parade when I was a kid, and so I don't really care about watching it. It just has to be on in the background while I'm cooking. And then after
right.
that's done, we turn on Christmas music. There is a
Tradition.
flow.
Yes. Yes.
So I like to make I so we eat our dinner kind of whenever it's ready, and it's usually around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So we eat our Thanksgiving dinner around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then for dinner, we usually have like dessert.
Right, or, like, we do a lot of we love turkey
Yeah.
sandwiches, or I
If for
personally
some
do.
reason, if by some miracle dinner gets done like by 1 or 2 in the afternoon, then you have to do the turkey
Little little
sandwich
snack, yeah.
with the pie, right?
Mm.
But usually dinner's not done for us until like 3 o'clock. Plus my sister-in-law works in a hospital, and a lot of times she has to work on Thanksgiving, but she can be off by like 2:30 or 3. So we try to kind of prolong it so she
Mm.
can get off and get in the shower and then come over. So
Before I forget, I'm gonna ask you for something, and that is a pumpkin pie recipe without eggs.
yeah, got it.
I mean, I think I've tried a few, and they've been like, "Okay,
I've got it. When we
okay,
get to desserts, remind me again and I'll tell you because it's not on
okay."
my list, but because I put my own pumpkin, but you can't have my pumpkin recipe that I put on because that's nuts in it.
Oh, yeah.
But my go-to pumpkin pie recipe, yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, I'm
We'll get
curious
there.
too.
Okay. So I like to make something for breakfast, but I don't want to make it. Like I want a homemade breakfast,
Mm.
but I ain't got time to
To be
focus on
cooking all
breakfast
that,
when
yeah.
I've got to make dinner later
This
that
is a
day.
great point. Yes, I'm so excited.
So and this is my recipe, I like to do a pumpkin baked oatmeal. And this is something that you can
Mm.
make the day before and pop in the microwave, or you can pop in the oven and reheat the whole thing if you
Is
have a
this in the
house.
oven schedule?
Yes, it can be it'll be on the oven schedule. I mean, this happens in the morning, so your
Okay.
oven is still like
Wide open, sort
wide
of.
open.
Okay.
Schedule's wide open. It's later in the day that it gets booked, but
Okay.
you can bake it and you can bake this the day before. You can even make the batter the day before, put the batter in the pan, pop it in the fridge, and then get it out the next day. when you wake up, set the oven, put it on, pop it in there, and it's, fresh for your guests. I would personally do it the day before. So all
Okay.
you have to do is pop it out, you know, pop it in the oven to warm up and then serve it.
So do
And
you, like,
then
re it in the fridge after you cook it, or do you keep it out?
um I think my is that my dog howling? I'm like,
I
"What
don't
is
know.
that?" Do you hear her?
I'm like,
Okay,
I
she's
hear
fine.
something, but I don't
I'm
know what
trying
it
to,
is.
like, not act like it's not happening, but maybe it is. You
I should
That's a
talk
good
to my
question.
sister-in-law because I don't know what to do with baked goods sometimes where I'm like, "Should I put you in the fridge or
Yeah,
should I
because they're
not?"
gluten this one, I mean, this is gluten-free, dairy-free, refined sugar-free, but I would put it in the fridge to be on the safe side. Put it in
Okay.
the fridge, then pop it out and put it in the oven, warm it up for a little bit, and then you can look like, "Oh, I
Oh,
woke
look at
up
me,
at
darling.
6 a.m. to cook this for you," even though
So,
you
like, what's in it? Okay, so it's pumpkin oats.
it's a pumpkin baked oatmeal, and it comes together in a blender. It's like oats, banana, pumpkin pie spice. I can't remember if it's dates or maple syrup, but
Mm,
one of the 2. Um, chopped pecans, and you literally like, I put it all in my high-speed blender. I blend it all up together. I dump that into a baking dish and pop it into the oven. Like,
that
it
sounds good.
cleanup's easy. It's so
Yes.
easy, so fast.
I just made pumpkin muffins last night that is basically that recipe.
Yeah.
Like, and
It's
they're pretty good. But I
yeah,
can imagine that in a, like, baked thing would be so easy. You don't have to do the muffin tins.
yeah, you don't, and you just, like, you cut out a slice, you pour some maple syrup on top. If you
Mhm.
want, you maybe don't even have to. Um,
Even,
now
like,
that
a
I s
little dollop of yogurt, like, do you ever
ooh,
I love yogurt on
if you have, like, whipped coconut cream already, that would be good, but I wouldn't go
sugary.
whip some coconut cream for that because again,
Oh,
this is
I just buy the
breakfast.
pre-made ones. I buy the pre-made ones with lots of sugar in them. I was like,
Nice.
I can do that."
I didn't even know they made pre-made coconut whipped cream.
Yes, ma'am, they do,
Wow.
up here in Denver.
I bet they do down here.
Never looked for it. It's in
I've
the
never
freezer
looked
section.
for it. I have to take a look. I have to take a look.
Tokyo Joe's actually has one that is like a like the aerosol-y, like
Oh, really?
yeah.
Like what we used to no, I'm not gonna say that
Yep, yep,
story
yep.
about high school.
I didn't do any of those things, but I
I
know about
actually
them.
never did. I saw somebody do it in high school and I was like, "I don't get it."
I don't get it, I don't wanna No, but, I never really go to Tokyo or Trader Joe's, but I do know that they sell something like that there. If you
I'll
do you
have
guys have
to
Trader Joe's?
We do. I love Trader Joe's. I'll have to look the next time I go.
Yeah, sorry, I'm really getting us off track, but
No, I could talk about food all day. Let's do it. Okay. So because we don't know when we're eating, we kind of just snack all day. Like
Mhm.
we usually put some crackers and, cheese on the table or chips and salsa. My mom makes
Cute.
really good bruschetta, or my mother-in-law makes really good
Mm.
bruschetta, so she puts bruschetta out and we just kind of snack. So I've got a couple appetizers for your lunch.
And are those
Um,
mostly pre-made too? Like, can you just pull them out, or do you just, like, set them somewhere aside? Like, do you put your chip bag somewhere with the salt like,
I
do you
I always
how do you
I
organize it?
because I do like for my apps, I do a lot of dips, which can be made, 2 to 3 days in advance and they're still fine.
Mhm.
So I usually have them pre-made and then I just like put them in a pretty bowl and throw some chips on a pretty plate. Boom, done. So
Perfect.
again, stuff that can be made, you could make the dips the weekend before. If you've got some time on a Sunday before that week before, get those dips made, get it done so you don't have to worry about it again. You can set it out, people feed themselves. And the dips that I have are, of course, gluten and dairy free, so they can be left out. I think that's what I like the most about
Mm.
vegan food is that you can leave your food out because there's no mayonnaise, there's no dairy that's gonna go bad. You can leave it out for hours. So, I think I actually used one of these dips in our
Oh.
summer solstice episode, but I'm gonna reuse it because it's good.
Good,
And
good,
it's
good.
you know, you can use it. It's good for any season. It's my garlic and herb dip. I'm pretty
Mm,
sure we did this one, but its base is cannellini beans instead of hummus because hummus kind of hurts my tummy.
mm.
So this one has cannellini beans, but it's got like a mixture of dried herbs in it. So you don't need a bunch of fresh herbs. You don't need to spend $4 for the dill that you're only going to use 2 tablespoons of.
Well, unless
Hate
you're
that.
Russian.
What?
We dill is on everything in all of our Russian food, so I will
I
use all of that.
loved oh, okay, bad example. Parsley.
I'm just
You
kidding.
buy this huge but parsley's cheap.
I
Anyway,
was
you
like,
know what I'm saying.
yes,
Food
I do. Like
waste.
sage or
Yeah,
thyme. Yes.
yeah, thyme, like, thyme is a perfect example because it's so overpowering. A little goes a long way. You spend $3 buying this little beautiful sleeve of
Mhm,
fresh thyme to use a
mhm,
half a teaspoon, and then it goes bad in your fridge, and you're like,
mhm.
"Why?" So, my this dip has all dried, herbs in it
Cool.
and canned beans. So this is again something that you probably have in your pantry right now and you can make right now and then I mean I wouldn't make it right now and store it until Thanksgiving,
But you
but
could try it, test
you
it out.
yeah, absolutely. Um Another one is a spinach and artichoke dip. Again,
Mm.
gluten-free, dairy-free. I believe it has nuts in it though.
What's the base? So do you do cashews or something? What do you do?
Yes, this is a detoxinista recipe. So this recipe
Mm.
isn't mine. This is from my favorite food blogger of all time, the Detoxinista,
Yeah, she has great
and
stuff.
she does. She has fantastic stuff. And so my mother-in-law loves to make. That's her go-to appetizer for Thanksgiving. But hers is full of mayonnaise, and so I'm like, oh, I want that. So I started making my own. So we have two different things, spinach artichoke dips on Thanksgiving because
Nice.
I'm that girl.
Mine have might have to have mayo in it, my allergy-friendly mayo, because I'm like, "Well, okay, what do you use for the base?" Or, like, for the
Yeah, if you can't have nuts, then I think you'd have to use mayo.
yeah, that's
You
okay.
can make your own mayo though. It's
I
so easy and it's amazing. And
I don't believe
do you
no.
have
I was
do you have a
like,
food processor?
"Yes, ma'am."
Then you can make mayo.
Okay, great, great, great.
It's
You just let
awesome.
me know about that.
Okay. Maybe I can show you how to do it when I come up there. All you need is egg yolks,
I can't
a
have egg
light
yolks, dude.
you can't have egg yolks?
No, I can't have egg.
Then what kind of fucking mayo are you eating?
I eat this avocado oil. It's, I will show it to you. It's like has pea protein and
Oh,
it's
wow.
called Follow Your Heart or something like that. I don't remember what it's called.
Oh, okay, I've heard about that
Mhm,
brand. They
mhm.
make cheese and stuff.
Yeah, so it has to be vegan and nut-free and soy-free, which is quite difficult.
Yeah. A lot of vegan food has soy in it
Yeah,
and
which is
nuts.
yeah, mhm. So, luckily I
And
found that one.
I can't do gluten, so when I see a lot of vegan food and a lot of vegan food has wheat in it. Lot of wheat.
Mhm. Yeah.
So just
So,
because it's
whenever I've
vegan
made
doesn't mean it's healthy.
no, 100%. Like, in the past, I've made a spinach artichoke dip, and I did, like, my mayo, and then I used a yogurt, like, just a like, unsweetened, like a I don't know, just a
Yeah,
plain
that would
yogurt,
work.
instead of sour
Mhm.
cream, and it's turned out pretty good.
Yeah, that would work. I didn't think about
Mhm.
that. That's a
So,
good idea.
sorry, continue.
No, that's okay. She's got a spinach artichoke dip, and all these links for these recipes will be posted in the show notes. And I wrote a little note on here, cooking schedule. So I'm gonna post my cooking schedule so you guys can have that to look at and maybe use if you're interested. Okay, and then if you want to have a sweet appetizer, I don't usually do a sweet appetizer because it just feels like there's so much decadence throughout the day. But if you were interested in a sweet appetizer that was healthy, you could do my date caramel recipe with some
Mm.
fruit to dip in it with apple and pear
Oh,
slices would be a really good. And you know, it's there's nothing bad in it. There's all it's just tons of fiber, really good for you. So even though it's sweet, it might not be a bad idea to have something like that before your big meal, truthfully.
Yeah. Yeah, oh my gosh, there's this pie that, I use date caramel sauce, and then you layer it with, like, yogurt and then bananas on top, and so good
That
with
sounds
a pie
awesome.
crust. Oh my god.
That sounds
I love
so good.
date sauce stuff.
Yeah, I do too. If there's dates in it, I need it.
You're there. I love bacon wrapped dates.
Ooh,
Like,
those are
I
good.
would maybe do that. I just love snacking on them throughout the day. Probably
I
not
like to
super healthy.
put, like, cashew butter or peanut butter inside the date
Hmm,
and then dip it in some chocolate or, like, half dip it in some chocolate, put it on a cookie sheet and bake it in or not bake it, pop it in the freezer
that sounds good. Okay, maybe because I can
like a
have
Reese's.
sunflower butter.
So good.
I can do did you still do bacon around it?
Yeah, oh,
Or do
yeah.
you okay, so
Well,
you do
if you're gonna wrap it you can't have are there any nuts you can have?
well, I do
Okay.
sunflower butter, and it tastes the same.
Yeah, you could probably do sunflower butter. You don't do dairy, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You could find a non-dairy cheese to put in there.
Oh, I actually have tried that. I put in a little feta, but it melted kinda weird, but it was still pretty good. Um, but honestly, I like just the dates and bacon, like,
Yeah. It's
they
that
work
sweet and the
really well.
salt
Yes, I
that's
love it.
just
I'm actually
ah,
gonna make some after this.
that sounds awesome. Okay. For the main course, I'm not gonna lie, I usually eat the turkey because I'm busy prepping all the other dishes and we don't, like, bread it. It's technically gluten-free and dairy-free and refined sugar-free and soy-free. So, why the fuck
Well, because you don't usually eat meat.
Yeah, I
Is that what you're
typically
saying?
I do sometimes I do. Like, my
Mm,
husband loves to hunt, and I'm not gonna have him kill a deer and just to have it waste in our freezer. So,
mhm,
I
mhm.
will eat, like, deer meat and meat that comes from, my family's ranch up in Oklahoma, and then I'll eat when it comes down to it, I just love food too much to not try new things. Like, I've thought about when I first started my plant-based journey, and I was like, "I don't think I could ever fully commit to this because I wanna go to Japan one day, and I'm not gonna not eat sushi in Japan. I'm not gonna not eat Wagyu beef in Japan. Sorry."
Like, this is happening. Well,
Yeah,
but I think that's a lot about what this is about is sort of moderation and not always being like, "I'm never" like, not using the absolutes. Like,
right,
it doesn't have to be never or all the time. It can be sometimes.
right, right. So, I will typically eat turkey on Thanksgiving Day. But I did wanna provide you guys with a couple main courses in case you just can't stand the turkey. I mean, it's not the best part of Thanksgiving, let's be honest. So, I have cauliflower steak and mushroom gravy. Both of these
Mm.
recipes are all 3 of the recipes I'm gonna give you right now are detoxinista recipes. They are all 3 recipes that I have made several times. They are all 3 recipes that are amazing. I stand by them.
Oh, I'm so
But it's the
excited.
cauliflower steak with the mushroom gravy. This is the mushroom gravy that you need to make. It's
Okay.
you literally boil potatoes and mushrooms and coconut aminos in a pan and dump it in the blender and the potatoes because you've cooked them and when you blend them up, they make it creamy and
It
thick. They act like a natural thickener. So you don't need any flour, you don't need
Wow.
anything crazy. It's just Yukon Gold potatoes and you
My
blend
mind
it
is
all
blown.
up, and it's a creamy, salty, mushroomy brown gravy, and I love it.
So, I've used garbanzo bean flour, which it sounds like not it's not good for you, uh, in the past, and that's worked well.
Mhm,
Or I'll just use, like, Bob's Red Mill flour mix. That's
mhm.
worked fine. But now I'm like, I'm trying that this year. It sounds and I love mushrooms.
I love using potatoes as a thickener.
I've
as
never
just
done
a
that.
natural thickener. If you boil a potato and blend it up, it gets, gooey.
Mhm.
And
I
so
can
it
imagine that.
yeah, and it'll naturally thicken anything you put it in. So and it makes it creamy. So it's not like it's just thick and just thick. It's like thick and creamy and it has,
Like a nice
like
texture.
yeah, it has good texture and body, and I love using like, there's a vegan cheese sauce that I make. I don't think it's my it wasn't originally my recipe. I think I found it online, but I've made it so many times that I've kind of added my own things to it. But there's a vegan cheese sauce I make that is carrots and potatoes
Mm.
boiled and blended up together. And the carrots are really just for the color,
Color.
but the potatoes are for that like cheesy, thick kind of texture that you're looking for in a cheese sauce.
What else goes into that?
Oh, nutritional yeast, which I'm
I
not
was gonna say
normally a
yeast,
fan
yeah.
of, apple cider vinegar, lemon juice. I can't maybe some, uh, plant milk.
Oh my god, you have to send this to me because I would love a cheesy-ish, in quotes here, option here. This is sounding delightful.
You can also use, sweet potatoes too
Oh,
to make a cheese sauce,
girl,
and it's like a
share
cheddar
this.
cheese sauce. The yeah, I'll have to find I don't remember. Man, I've used that recipe. It's one of those recipes that you've used so many times,
Mhm.
you don't need to look it up anymore, and so you don't
Yes.
even remember like, "Oh my god, where do I have this recipe? Where did I even see this recipe?" So, I'll get back with you on that.
Okay, yes. No hurry.
So, the cauliflower steak and mushroom gravy is one option, and then there's a lentil loaf, which I know a lot of you are like, "Oh my god, why the fuck would you do that?" So, it's like a lentil meatloaf, it holds together like a meatloaf. There is ketchup on top in this recipe where you make your own sort of tomato paste ketchup combination. It's like tomato paste and balsamic vinegar. I would For this recipe, I would trash that and do the mushroom gravy on top of the lentil loaf because I just love that mushroom gravy so much.
Okay.
So those are some 3 main course options, well, actually 2 main course options from both all of those recipes are from the Detoxinista. Now we're getting into the side dishes, which is my fucking jam. Um, I made a really the stuffing that I was talking about earlier, that's just I mean, I don't know if I was just, like, really hungry that day, so I thought it was exceptional, but I'm hoping I'm not over talking it and then you guys make it and you're like, "Oh, it's not good." Is
Well,
my
we'll let you
Good comments only, thanks. It's my wild rice stuffing, and I can't remember what I called it. I don't know if it's apple cranberry wild rice stuffing or whatever. It's the only wild rice stuffing on my website,
Okay.
but it's really good, and it comes together in a baking dish. So there's not a whole lot of like when you make a casserole, you have to saute the veg first, and then you've gotta cook the noodles, and then by the time you've made the casserole, you've dirtied, like, almost every dish in your
Mhm.
kitchen.
Mhm.
This is a casserole that comes together in the casserole dish.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
And necessary for Thanksgiving
Right,
sanity.
like, I'm all about shortcuts, things you can do to make your life easier, to give you more oven space, counter space, stove space, time space, whatever you need on that day. You gotta support yourself. If you're gonna feed an army with a meal like this, you need all the support you can get.
Yes.
So,
So what else is in that? So wild rice.
wild rice, apples, cranberries, celery, carrots, onion, dried herbs, again, some dried herbs, maybe some fresh rosemary, just because I have a rosemary plant, so that's, like, the only fresh herb I
That
continuously
sounds
use.
really good.
It's so good. Vegetable stock, and you basically put it all in the pan, stir it together, cover it, and put it in the oven, and forget about it for an hour. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Pecans. parsley.
Could you put this in, like, the, Instapot?
I'm gonna say no, and here's why. Because I have discovered that while I love Instant Pot rice, maybe you can do it in the Instant Pot. I would not recommend doing this on the stove because stove rice on the stove gets gummy. I can't brown rice. And I haven't found a way to make it not gummy on the stove.
Okay, we'll
If
talk
you
about
make
that.
it in the oven, it doesn't get gummy. What did you say? You're gonna show
I
me
said
how?
we'll talk about that, yeah. I think I could help you.
I've tried. I've tried like
Oh.
I've tried every different way. Olive oil, no olive oil, salt, no salt, like different kinds
It
of
is
water.
oh, okay, so maybe it just isn't working for you.
I don't know, maybe like I don't know, maybe it's my technique, but the oven is the only way that I've learned.
That it just works, it's
It
good.
just it works this perfectly every time. The technique, it doesn't ever get gummy, and you do get that. Not so much with wild rice. Um But in this recipe, it's actually a wild brown rice combo. So I think it's like 3/4 of a cup of wild rice and 3/4 of a cup of brown rice. And you can actually buy a pre-made
Mhm.
combo like that. But I found some wild rice all by itself at Trader Joe's and I was like, I want that. I don't know why I thought I wanted that. But I had it and I was like, oh, that means I can blend my own wild rice. So I did.
Good job, good job. I have not found wild rice by itself, like,
I've
I
n
only
I'd
have blend.
never seen it before, and I was so, like, shocked by the novelty that I impulse bought it, and I was just looking at me, and I'm like, "Wild rice stuffing for Thanksgiving. That's what's gonna happen."
Right. Oh my gosh.
It's so good. Love it. It'll be your new favorite thing.
I'm
Um,
trying it this year for sure.
it's I'm for like it's one of those things where I'm like, there's a couple of my recipes where I don't know if I'd, like, lead off with that. This is one I'd lead off with, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Um, I I mentioned before that we're not a green bean casserole family, and if you have never understood the hype that green bean casserole has, then this recipe's for you. I made creamed kale, which
Hmm,
has this like retro 50s steakhouse vibe to it, but it also has this hippie, crunchy vegan kale vibe to it too.
hmm.
So it's a cream kale, amazing, super easy, doesn't take long to make. The base is cashews, but
Don't
you
worry, I
could
have my
probably use
base.
sunflower seeds instead of cashews.
Well, yeah, I could do that, or
Yeah.
I can do probably coconut cream, but
Yeah.
I really do have my green bean casserole, and
Hey, if you
it's,
got something that works for you,
you
you
know.
know, and if you're it's gonna cause a revolt to cancel green bean casserole
Yeah,
this year,
it
don't
would,
do it. Don't do it.
it would. It's for everyone's sanity, do not do it.
I'm not
No, I
even
mean, my
telling
girls
I'm
love
not
it.
even telling my family that I'm doing this. They still think that they're going to get their cheesy, cornflaky, sour creamy green bean casserole, and only if they listen to the podcast will they know ahead of time that they are not getting that on Thanksgiving this year.
You're like, "Sorry, you guys didn't I gave you a heads up. You should have listened to my
You
podcast."
don't listen? Act all offended. All right, the spoiler alert to my family. Next thing is the sweet potato casserole. Couldn't be easier. You bake the sweet potatoes in the oven. You mash it all together with a couple of ingredients, put it in a casserole dish. I do this the day before, and then the day of, I take it out of the fridge. I let it come to room temperature. I make the crunchy crumble topping that goes on top, and then it goes in the oven.
What's the crunchy crumble? Like oats or something, or
Yes, it's oats, maple syrup. The crumble topping is the best part about this dish because it's got the maple syrup, the oats, and then it's got fresh rosemary chopped up in there because rosemary and sweet
Mm.
potatoes are just so fucking good together. I don't know why. I don't know why.
I have never had that, so I didn't know they were so fucking amazing
It I,
together.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't explain it. I used to roast sweet potatoes with like dried rosemary on top in my college days. and I just loved it then. And so when I was making the recipe for it this year, I was like, "How can I put rosemary in this?" And I thought it would taste weird in the actual, like, sweet potatoes itself. I thought it would be because you'd be chewing something that's normally really soft, and then you'd get, like, this, like,
Oh,
woody
uh-huh.
piece of rosemary in your mouth. So I thought, "Okay, I've gotta put it in the topping." So it's sweet, it's salty, it's got the rosemary in it. It's just if there was, like, a dish that described Thanksgiving, it would probably be that.
Oh, wow.
So good. It's so good. I love it.
Okay. What else you got?
What else? Okay, I know that I jumped from a sweet potato casserole, and I'm going right into mashed potatoes. I'm going double carb on you because,
Yes. Love
I
carbs.
don't really like I mean, I feel like the only applicable form of potato in a Thanksgiving dinner is a mashed potato. I'm not a fan of scalloped potatoes.
Well, if you're Russian, you have to have mashed potatoes and potato salad,
Oh,
which I actually eat both. And I thought at first I was like, we're gonna have a lot of potatoes, and then I was just sort of like, well, no, this works out.
I
I
fucking
still
love
love potato salad.
potatoes. I love potatoes. I could have if we could have, like, a potato bar of them made every way, oh my gosh, I could die happy after that. So, I like this recipe. This is a detox and Easter recipe. I tried to make it my own, but you know what? Don't
Sometimes you
mess
just
up a
gotta
good
stick with
thing.
the oldies. Yeah, yeah.
When she's got it, and I'm not gonna try to change it. Her mashed potatoes come together in the Instant Pot, and it's a no drain recipe. So, I think it's like
Oh,
3 pounds, maybe 1 to 3 pounds of chopped potatoes in 1 cup of water. You cook it, you let the steam release, you mash it all together, you add your plant milk, your vegan butter, or whatever, your whole milk and dairy butter, whatever you wanna add to it. Mash it all together, boom, done. All done,
that's
and you don't
amazing.
need your stove, and you don't need your oven. You just need a little bit of counter space for your Instant Pot to make
Do
it
you pre-make your mashed potatoes and then warm them up?
no.
Or is that what you're using your Instant Pot for
Yeah,
on
because
the day
once
of?
they're ready and they're mashed, I put the lid back on it and I click it to the warm setting, and then I just let it sit there until it's time to serve it, and then I give it a stir. Sometimes you'll need to add a little bit more liquid, but
Mhm, mhm.
usually it stays good. And these are garlic mashed potatoes, I should have mentioned that.
Jamais. Oh my
Garlic
god, I
mashed,
love
yeah,
garlic
because
mashed
why
potatoes.
would you not put garlic in your mashed potatoes? My favorite thing of Thanksgiving dinner is actually the cranberry sauce. It's the thing that I see everybody pass up. It's the thing that nobody eats, and I feel so much underdog love for the cranberry because it is such a great, great thing for you. It's naturally gluten-free, naturally dairy-free. You can make it with coconut sugar instead of white sugar. My recipe is, orange juice and water and I think maple syrup, so it's a really
Mhm.
easy recipe. Something that I make that's a Monday thing. You can make that
Mm.
on the Monday before because I've always served my cranberry sauce cold.
Oh,
Um, I think it's better cold. Don't buy the stuff in the can. It's just as easy to buy the whole berry and it takes literally 10 minutes to make cranberries. You throw it all in a pot on your stove, you boil it until they start popping, then you take it off the heat, you let it cool, and then you store it in your fridge. Like, it's so easy, so healthy, can be, just don't use that white sugar. So easy, so healthy, so underrated.
I was like,
Love the cranberry. I'm
I've
so
been
sad.
trying to have a little bit of it, and I'm like, "Oh, this is tart." I just need to, like, get myself into it. Like, I think it's because of the tart, and I usually, like, I love my sauerkrauts, I love my pickles, I love that kind of
That's what the
flavor.
cranberry sauce should function
Okay.
as Thanksgiving dinner. It's not almost like a palate cleanser in a way. It just sort of
Mm.
it's got that acidity and the tartness to cut the richness from all the other amazingness that you're eating.
Okay, so should I like, I guess that is the question because like, gravy naturally goes with mashed potatoes, and I can eat my t turkey with it all, but, like, where when do I eat my cranberry? Like,
I
do I
like to
just, like,
put my
little
cranberry on top of my turkey.
oh,
And honestly, I like to mix I love the you're asking the wrong person because I love cranberries, so I'll mix that shit in everything.
oh, okay. Okay,
And
well,
when
then
I make my
I should just try
sandwich
it with everything then.
yeah, try it with everything. I like it. I like it with the mashed potatoes. I like it with all of it. Green bean casserole. It's good with all of it. Okay.
Alright, we should probably move
I know,
faster than we're
we're at
moving.
an hour and 15 minutes. Seriously. Okay, we're at dessert though, so we're good. We're
Okay,
coming in. We're finishing it up. I've got 3 desserts down, and we'll talk about the pumpkin pie. The pumpkin pie is from the Detoxinista, of course, makes a fantastic pumpkin pie on a gluten-free crust that doesn't have any eggs in it and doesn't have any dairy in it, and it's awesome. I think it's naturally sweetened with either dates or maple syrup. So,
mhm.
fantastic. Pecan she makes an awesome pecan pie that makes my father-in-law melt. He's from North Carolina, and so he's like, "Wow, I can't believe this is a healthy pecan pie because it tastes exactly like what I grew up on."
I okay, that actually I should have said when before my allergies, pecan pie was like that was all I wanted. My grandma on my mom's side, the best pecan pie, and she would make fudge. I feel like she would make fudge. I think it was for Christmas or for Thanksgiving. I can't remember which, but like, oh my God, that is bringing me back. I haven't thought about these things in a long time. Sorry. Keep going.
You
But
know what
pecan
you could
pies were,
do? You could probably make this pecan pie recipe without the pecans.
well, is it just like a date sauce kind of thing?
Yeah,
Is that what you
and
do?
I think what that is called a butter tart in
Oh,
Canada, I think.
I love all this food information. I'm
We
very
need a
excited.
Canadian to call in and let us know.
Our phone number is 188.
Wouldn't that be cool? We should start doing that.
Yeah,
I don't know
we
how to do that. Anyway,
that would be
pecan
radio.
pie, pumpkin pie, and then a chocolate tart. My in-laws, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and my husband are chocoholics. Like, I've never met people who love chocolate. Fanatics, like, total fanatics for chocolate. So, every year there has to be a chocolate something. So, I threw in a chocolate tart, also a Detoxinista post. It's soy-free because a lot of chocolate tarts, their base is tofu. So, this
Oh,
is a soy-free chocolate tart, and I haven't tried it. I haven't personally tried the chocolate tart, but it looks awesome. And honestly, I've been using so many of her recipes for so long that I don't think that she puts a bad thing
mm,
on her website. So I can personally vouch for the pecan pie and the pumpkin pie. Haven't tried the chocolate tart. And I just made it's sitting in my fridge right now because I need to take pictures of it for the blog. A pumpkin cheesecake that
mm.
is fantastic. I was trying to make pumpkin cheesecake bars, but then I made them and ate them, and I was like, "No, this needs to be a pie." So I turned it
Okay.
into a pumpkin cheesecake pie. It does have
Cashews.
cashews in it. Damn it.
I do think I can maybe try cashews.
I want I want you to grab an EpiPen and try some cashews.
Go crazy.
So that's my desserts, and then I did add a couple drinks, mocktails to the mix. There's a hot apple cider recipe on the Medical Medium website that is healing and comforting and has all the yummy, warming herbs and spices. You can make it in a crock pot. Again, something that you can put on your counter that's not taking up, valuable real estate on the stove or the oven. Put it in the crock pot. People can come and, ladle some out as they want. You can add alcohol to it if that's your jam. Um, there's also an alcohol-free mulled wine on the Medical Medium website. It seems very similar to a hot apple cider, so I wouldn't do both. I would do one or the other, but they're both warm drinks. And then I've never tried this before, but I'm going to try it this year. Is a cardamom tea. Cardamom is really good for digestion. And in India, after they eat a big meal, they'll just like pop a couple cardamom seeds in their mouth, chew it up, and swallow it. And that's like what they do after dinner to help with their digestion. So this year, I'm going to put this link that I haven't made this recipe. Don't come at me. I don't know if it's any good. We're gonna try it all together. But I'm gonna try the cardamom tea this year after dessert to help work it all through.
Do
So
you use cardamom on in anything? Have
I
you
love
had
I love
you do?
cardamom.
My
Cardamom is probably
family sorry, go ahead.
no, a carrot is probably one of my favorite. In fact, right next to the pumpkin cheesecake in the fridge right now is a pear cardamom crumble bar. So
Mm,
I couldn't make the pumpkin cheesecake bar work, so now I'm doing a pear cardamom crumble bar
that
that is
sounds delicious.
just fantastic. I love cardamom.
My family, I used to put it in everything. My family does not like it.
Oh,
And I'm
no.
like, get over it, guys.
Peppermint is also good for digestion, so you could have, give them a couple peppermints or make some peppermint tea.
Yeah,
Um,
I have peppermint tea. It's really funny. The two people in my family who do not like cardamom, they like peppermint, and I don't really prefer mints.
yeah, mint is peppermint. I like spearmint, but peppermint
Mhm.
is very overwhelming to me.
Yeah,
Very
it's
overwhelming.
not what I prefer. So I'll
Yeah.
get my cardamom, and they'll get their peppermint.
There you
So
go. There you go.
yeah.
So, and I've got a tea now that you can try out. You can use um, plant milk, honey, or maple syrup. You can use regular milk if that doesn't bother you. But the idea is for it to, be easy on your stomach. So try not to load it down with a bunch of sugar and fatty dairy while you're trying, because you've just had a whole day of sugar and fatty food. So, but
Mhm.
luckily with this menu, there's zero refined sugar, there's zero soy, there's zero corn, there's zero gluten, and there's zero dairy. So if you eat this whole meal, you you might feel like shit from being so full, but you won't feel like shit because you've eaten bad food, you know?
Right. You're like, "I've just stuffed myself
Right.
with this wonderful food."
Right.
Yes, I know that feeling. Thank you for sharing all your recipes and all the things. I cannot wait to try them out. Oh my god. Like, I'm excited for I think the rice, stuffing, the, like, the pie, I really do I wanna find out about that butter tart, and I can't wait to hear if, if our audience makes any of these things, let us know. Take a pic, tag us, social
Yes.
media,
Tell
do
us
all the
about
things.
your favorite Thanksgiving tradition. I love hearing
Yeah,
how people gather. I love hearing how people celebrate gratitude and community. So
yeah,
drop us a line. Let us know what your favorite dish is, your favorite tradition, your
yeah,
favorite
so
tip of how you survive,
mhm.
even if that is taking a flask into the bathroom.
Let us know.
Let us know. Hey, maybe somebody hasn't heard that one yet.
Yeah, that that tip, that sanity tip. So we hope you guys have a really good holidays and,
Yes,
right,
well, I guess we
Thanksgiving.
should tell you guys we're going to take a little hiatus. We're going to wrap up season 1.
Woohoo.
This episode will wrap up season 1. We're going to take a break for the holidays and come back probably
Yeah,
around
so
the middle of January.
yeah,
We'll let you know. We'll let you know. We might come out with a bonus episode between now and then.
TBD.
But yeah, but we're gonna focus on. We've got a lot of stuff on our plates that we want to do with the podcast and episodes we want to create and giveaways and charity fundraisers and all kinds of fun stuff. So we're gonna
Yeah,
take a quick break. We'll see you guys in the new year.
yeah.
We
Feel
love
free
you.
to share, comment, like, and all of the things.
Five
Just a
star
reminder.
review, all the things. Yes,
We
for sure.
appreciate, and we love you guys. And yeah, we'll talk to you
Yeah, we'll talk to you in
later.
2022, and I already miss them, Reba. I already miss them.
They won't go far. It's okay.
Okay, don't leave us. We love you.
All right, bye
Bye.
guys.